Well, another day of NBA action in the books, and we probably saw the effective end of two series today. Denver and Dallas played first. I watched most of this game. Chauncey went off. Carmelo shot a terrible percentage, but he went off and hit the game winner, so he did find a way to get his points. He ended up with 31. He shot a lot of free throws. Billups was hitting everything he could. He played an awesome game. And they really made up for not getting anything out of their bench because Birdman fouled out. They didn't get much from J.R. Smith, etc. Dallas, I think this was actually a really fun game. Both sides played well. Josh Howard played injured, but he played okay. Considering that he was injured, he made his contribution. Dirk went off, 33 and 16. Dirk exploded. Kidd didn't have big numbers, but I felt like he made a solid contribution. Jason Terry and Brandon Bass, huge off the bench. Hollins did some stuff off the bench, but they don't get to enjoy it. And I know everybody's talking about the call at the end, as they, should. I don't know. I know that the Mavericks did have other chances to close out this game. Like, they had a 4-point lead or something with a couple seconds left, and then they just let Carmelo drive right to the hoop and didn't even bother contesting it. So, you look at plays like that, and you think, well, if they had just challenged Carmelo a little bit, if they had just delayed it, there wouldn't have been enough time for that three by Melo. But I just don't get. Everybody knows Dallas has a foul to give. Everybody knows that they're obviously going to use it as late as they can, but they're obviously going to use it before Denver can get up a shot while taking up as much time as they can. So why aren't you looking for that? I just don't get it. I felt bad for the Dallas fans. I know we got some Dallas fans on YouTube. I feel for those guys. And it's a tough way to end your season because this series is now over. And, I mean, they're down 3-0. It's over. I mean, maybe they'll win Game 4. I actually think they'll win Game 4. But past that, I just don't know if I see it. So, props to Melo for hitting that 3 because he struggled from the field for a lot of this game. But he hit that 3. He got his points on the free throw line. So he did get the job done. But, Dallas did what they needed to do in this game. They got a huge game out of Dirk. They limited Nene. Nene didn't do that much, which was big for them. They forced Carmelo shot a bad percentage. And when Carmelo is shooting a bad percentage, that should be enough for Dallas because they have nobody who can stop Carmelo. So if Carmelo isn't beating them, that means things are very much in their favor. They got huge play out of their bench. Bass, Terry, and even Hollins made his contributions. So for it to come down to that, I just really hated it, and I really couldn't believe it. It was completely ridiculous that I mean, it wasn't even like the Derek Fisher play last year where Fisher jumped into Brent Barry but wasn't trying to foul him. He didn't want to foul Barry. If he fouls Barry, that's bad for him. Wright wanted to foul Melo. Obviously. I mean, it looked pretty obvious from his actions and from the situation. So, I don't know. I don't get it. But it's over. Denver won. Denver's going to win this series. They might sweep it. I think they're going to win it in 6. But that's that. And, you got to give it up to players like Chauncey and Carmelo for stepping up because they didn't get big-time contributions from anyone else on this team. It was Billups and Melo. Nobody else really chipped in. So you got to give it up to those guys. Melo hitting that tough 3 at the end, whatever you want to say. I got to give props for that. I hated to see the game end like that. I really did. And Cleveland, in the other game, wrapped up their series. James went off, 47 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. He just played like a monster out there. Ilgauskas chipped in with 14 and 8. West and Williams combined for 23. You know, it's all just middling contributions. Joe Smith, 7 points, 8 rebounds. He hasn't played well this postseason for the most part, but he played well today, which was good because nobody else on the Cleveland bench did jack. Atlanta kept it close for a while. The end score is 97-82, which is not pretty, but they did keep it close for a lot of this game, and then in the fourth quarter it just got away from them because James decided to catch on fire, and other people were scoring here and there. You know, again, I'll say Atlanta's completely outmatched in this series, and they tried their best in this game, I really feel. Joe Johnson had a solid game. Josh Smith was okay. Flip Murray was big off the bench. But this team really needs to get something out of Al Horford, because he was supposed to make a huge leap this year, and he hasn't. So where is that? I know he's hurt right now, so I kind of get that. But this year in general, he hasn't been the player that I thought he would. And, you know, Marvin Williams, they took this guy over Chris Paul and Deron Williams. He doesn't have to be as good as Chris Paul and Deron Williams. I'm not saying that, but he needs to be real good. And I know he was injured in this game as well, but it needs to happen. Just so the Hawks fans don't go insane, because that pick was asinine at the time. It's 10 times more asinine now. Anyway, you know, at the end of the day, you can clearly see Cleveland's a much better team than Atlanta. They took care of business in this game. Winning big, LeBron James taking over. I think this series is done. I think it's actually going to be a sweep. So, that's what's going on. Again, I'll say props to both those teams because they pretty much locked up a trip to the next round. Tomorrow, interesting games. We got two teams that are trying to take control of this series. The Lakers play the Rockets, starts at 12:30 on ABC. Fisher will be back in the lineup for what it's worth. Yao Ming is out. Yao Ming is out for the rest of the postseason, so that's a huge blow to the Rockets. And remember, they don't have Mutombo either. So that will probably mean that the Rockets are finished. I don't see the Rockets recovering from not having Yao Ming. And they don't even have Mutombo either. But if they're going to try and find a way to make it happen, somebody's got to explode. Artest needs to put in 40. Scola needs to put in 30, something like that. And, you know, I don't see it. I think this series did get considerably less interesting. And if the Lakers win tomorrow, which I fully expect them to do, it will pretty much end the series, and I think it's going to go 5. I always thought 5. I stuck to that even after Game 1. So I think the Lakers are going to win tomorrow handily and take it back to LA and win in 5. And then we have the Celtics taking on the Magic. Now, it's a little more interesting here because if the Lakers somehow lose tomorrow, which I guess is not impossible to imagine, if the Lakers lose, they still have home court because they started the series with home court. So if the first 4 games go 2-2, LA maintains home court. If Orlando loses, they lose home court because Boston started the series with home court. So I don't feel safe with this Orlando team for some different reasons, and they have to win tomorrow. They've already taken 1 in Boston, and they did everything they can to blow this game. Again, there's no trusting this team. When this team takes a lead, you cannot fall to sleep and just assume, oh, they got this thing won. They find ways to make blowouts interesting, ultimately, and it's very frustrating to watch as a Magic fan. I would guess. I'm not a Magic fan. It's frustrating to watch because I root for them a lot because I like Dwight Howard. We'll say that. But I think they'll win tomorrow, and if they win tomorrow, the series is going to be pretty much over because this Boston team is way too exhausted to win 3 in a row. And Pierce should be exhausted as it is because he killed himself in the last game, which Boston lost, but he was killing himself out there trying to get to the free throw line so he could shoot foul shots to get Boston back in that game, and it wasn't enough. But the point is he should still be exhausted. And, you know, Ray Allen hasn't been very good this series. He was pretty good in Game 2, but he's not himself, so I expect Orlando to win, take a stranglehold grasp of this series, and just finish it off right there. So that's my predictions, but I do not feel safe with this Orlando team. They shoot too many threes when they're supposed to be trying to close out the game, and Howard is not a good enough free throw shooter to close out a game. But I think they're going to win tomorrow. That's it. I'm out.